So let's start today's session. In that we will discuss about few operators in SQL is there. So in that between is there, in and like and dislike. So today we'll discuss about these three operators, and we will cover all the basic operation in SQL. So from tomorrow on, day after tomorrow onwards, we will cover the group by session in that will perform aggregate functions related tasks. So now today we'll discuss about only the basic syntax. In that, first of all we'll cover the between. So what is the between? Okay, the name itself indicates that the between will be applicable for the range. Okay, for example, if you have a number and you need to find out some values, okay, the range, the between will not be available for any other data type. It will be available for only the range, or we can say that the data type or only for the fractional numbers. Okay, so let's discuss about that. So the between operator can be used to match a value against a range of value. That means if we have a range of value, then we can use the between operator. Okay. So what will be the syntax? So here the values, for example, if we suppose I want to retrieve the data from the table, in that the values between low and high. Okay. So first of all, I will specify the what will be the value of low, and after that I will specify the what will be the value of high. Then we'll get the actual between value. Okay, so we'll took some examples. So by using that you can identify what is the role of between and how we'll do that. So we'll don't worry about that, just understand the theoretical part of the between, and after that we'll perform the operation. For example, see, value is greater than equals to low value, and the value is less than equals to high value. Okay, so by using that we can retrieve the data. So in the last section we already discussed about the limits, and we perform the different kinds of operations for the limits. So if you want to check the table content, if you want to check the attributes of table, then we can easily use the limit. Or if you want to restrict the data also, we can use the limit. Similarly, between is used to find out the values in between small value and in between high value. Okay, make a note of that. We can use the relational operator inside the between. So we all know that the difference between greater than or less than equal to. Okay, and we also know that the difference between the greater than symbol and less than symbol. Okay, let's discuss about that. So you will get the brief idea regarding that. Okay, for example, if you want to find the value greater than 7 and less than 9, if you want to find the value greater than 7 and less than 9, then what will be the output? What will be the output? If the value is greater than only 7 and less than 9, so we get only one value called as 8. Okay, we already known that between we already known about that the relational operator. In that, when we use the greater than symbol, then the value must be greater than. Okay, so the value must be greater than and the value must be less than. So when you're trying to use the greater than 7 and less than 9, in that case we get only one value called as 8. Okay, so make a note of that. While using this operator, we must differentiate the greater than and greater than equal to. So when we use the greater than equal to, that means the inclusive operator will work, and when we use only greater than, then exclusive operator will be work. Okay, for example, here I will give you a demo, so you will get the brief idea regarding that. So these things are very useful, so that's why I'm illustrating that things. So for example, here I'm trying to use a is equals to 8, so assume that a is equals to 7, other value is b is equals to 9. And suppose I want to find out a is greater than 7. Okay, so here I'm using the bitwise AND operator, and a is less than 9. So what value we get? What value we get? We get only one value, that's 8. Okay. That term called as exclusive of exclusive value. We can say that exclusive. That means here 7 and 9 will be excluded from the list, and only we get the output. So when I trying to use a is greater than equals to 7 and is less than equals to 9, and we get the inclusive value. Make a note of that. This terms are important, then we get the inclusive value. That means here 7 and 9 will be included in the list, or 7 and 9 will be included into the list, particular things. Okay, so we get that value. These terms are important. They will ask the interview question regarding this relational operator. What is the exclusive values and what are the inclusive values? So we can specify the answer with them. Okay, so we will use this type of value, exclusive and inclusive, inside the between operator. So that means if you want to perform a between operator, then we need to use the relational operator along with what we say, logical operator. So here I am using a relational as well as a logical operator. Okay, so this is the between. So how we will use the between operator, or we can say that between clause inside the SQL command. So we can use the between with not logical operator also. That means, for example, if you want to use, if you want to retrieve the not between low and y. Okay, for example, here I'm trying to use a is equals to 7 and b is equals to 9, and we have a bunch of value. So just we need to use a non-operator in front of between. Okay, so for example, here what should I do? So I don't want to use the values in between 7 and 9. Okay, the rest of values I want to print. So what should I do? Here I will use a command called as a select all from the table name. Assume that okay, the per payment where not between between a 7 and a less than 9. Okay, just we need to use, just we need to use not operator, logical not operator in front of between. Okay, so what output will get? So see, just we'll check for these two queries. Use with not and without not. Assume that you have a bunch of values from 1 to 20 available in your DB and you want to retrieve them. So here I'm trying to retrieve that select from payment where the values between, for here we need to specify the values. For example, here I'm using amount. Okay, attribute amount. We check for the amount attribute. We need to specify the certain condition. So now it's okay. Select all from the payment where amount between a greater than 7 and a less than 7. So this one is a low value and this one is a high value. So it will be print only 8 output. It will print only 8 output because here I am using the exclusive value. If you're trying to use the inclusive value, then we get the 7, 8, 9 output. Okay, so here we get the only 8 output. Assume that you have a database of 10 values. Okay, you have a database of 10 values, so among that only 8 value will be printed. When we use a not in front of between, then it will print 1 to 10 number except 8 number. It will print on to only 1 to 10 number except 8 number, because this condition is satisfied and the result will be the result of that particular condition is 8. And here I am using a not operator in front of between. That means we did not get the answer as 8, and the rest of all will be printed. Okay, so that means what, just will do the practical, so we will get the idea regarding that. But before doing the practical, just let's understand the what is the between and how it will work. Okay, so make a note of that. Between will work on the range only. So if we have something called as a fractional number, if we have something called as a natural numbers, that means integer number, then we can easily perform the between operator. So majorly between operator is used for the range only. In that we need to specify low and high. Also, we will use the bitwise, logical and operator, logical not operator to perform the operation. And one more thing is remaining for the bit of between operator. So in that we can also work with the date operator. Okay, if you want to perform some date related tasks, if you want to find a transaction in between start date and it will be in between end date. Okay, so ट्रांजेक्शन फाइंड आउट करने या कस्टमर के नाम फाइंड आउट करने कि डेट के हिसाब से अकॉर्डिंग टू if you want to find out how many transaction did on 7/8/2021 up to 7/9/2021. Okay, or if you want to find out for 15 days, if you want to find out for 1 year, like that stuff you can able to find out. That means what, we can easily use the date operator, date function inside the between. Okay, so what are the things we need to use in between? Make a note of that. We can use the range. Okay, we can use the relational operator, we can use the logical operator, and we can use the date. Okay, so by using that we can use, but while using the date we need to take care of the format. Okay, the SQL supports the ISO 8601 format, standard format of date. So according to that, we need to specify the date. If you're trying to specify the another type of date, then we get the error. Make a note of that. So in between operator can be also used with dates. That means in between जो भी operator है ये the between operator while using that we can use the dates also. Note that if we need to use a format of date operator, then format dates in the ISO standard, ISO 8601 standard format, which is 4 times y. That means first will be the year, after that will be the month, and after that will be the date. For example, I will use the syntax. So here I will use the date between 0 2021, that means year, after that the month, after that the date, and after that specify the and operator, and after that we will specify the higher date 9/7/2000. So like that we can use the date. That means the between operator while using we need to understand the concept of relational operator, logical operator, and date function. Okay. So if we use, then we can able to find out the things. So let's think about that. Let's do with the PG admin. So we get the idea regarding the between. We already did the operation of. We already learn about the theory. So just we start with the PG admin application and let's check about that. So what is the question? Suppose user wants to find a payment transaction between 7 to 9. So what does it mean? If user wants to find, I already discussed about that. The between will be used for the range only. If we're trying to use the between, then we can use for the range only. So first of all, we need to illustrate the payment table. Okay. First of all, if you want to illustrate the payment table, you can drop down the list and you can change the attribute of payment. Also, we can use the limit options. Okay, first of all, we'll retrieve the all data and limit to the one, so we can learn about the tables, how many attributes are there. Okay, so don't worry, let's do the practical. You will get the idea regarding that. So Postgres SQL. Now I will open a query tool for the PES college. And if you want to check the payment level, you can check over here. We have a bunch of tables over here, and in that table, payment table, see these are the attributes column. So according to that, you can view in this section also. And if you want to find the information, then by using command also we can able to find. So for example, select all records from the table called as a payment and limit it for 2. Just I want to retrieve only two data, two rows, so that's fine. So here we have an option called as amount. See, so we can apply the between for amount, we can apply the between for the payment, rental ID, staff ID. So that means if we have the natural numbers, then we can easily apply it on the natural number and fraction numbers. Now we need to apply what is my query? So here my query is, suppose user wants to find the payment transaction between $7 to $9. Okay. So now in that case, user wants to find out the payment. Okay. So in that section we have an option called as amount, and we'll find out the dollar option from 7 to 9. So in between 7, I think, and in between 9, we need to find. And we already know about the exclusive operator and exclusive value and inclusive value. Okay, so when you're trying to use only less than, then the value it will show from the 8 only. Okay, the value is greater than 7 and less than 9. That's it. So let's do the practical for that. So here I will show what. So I will remove this limit option, select all from the payment. So here I will use a where. Okay, so we can use a second line option also, or if you want to use directly first line, see according to you, you need to specify the query. If query length is bigger, then write it on second statement, because each and every statement will be read by one. Okay, so here I will write here amount See, also important that where we are using the clauses that must be in capital letter. Okay, so आपको easy read करने के लिए easy जाएगा. Select all from the payment where amount between what amount in between what is the in between 7 and 7. So the amount in between 7 to 10. So click on that. Let me get the output. See, first one is a lower value and second one is the bigger value. So here we get the amount. Amount is less than 7. Sorry, amount is greater than 7 and less than 9. So we get the 7.99, 7.99, 8.99, 8.99 because it is a fraction. So it will specify all the values in between 7 and okay, so we get the all the values. If you want to write it on single line, so you can able to write it over here. Okay, so just if you want to count this value, we already known about the count function. Just instead of that, here I will write what count count the how many rows we have. Just replace it and those will be affected the value in between 7 to 9. Okay. So if you don't want to use the range in between 7 to 9, that means we can use the not also. So where we can use the not. So here we use the not between 7 to 9. Okay, so earlier when we check, we get the values in between 7 to 9. So how much amount will be? The total count will be 1065. But right now I don't want to use the value in between 9 to 7 to 9. So we get the value. See, we get the 13,531. The values are not included inside that 7 to 9, 7 to 9. So 7 to 9 means जितने भी value 7.1 up to 8.999. Okay, तो ये value नहीं दिखेंगे. So just if you want to check, remove the count operation. So get the output. See, we get the values 1.99, 2.99. पर इसमें कभी भी आपको 7.99 or something the value which is greater than 7 नहीं दिखेगी और the value which is less than 8 नहीं दिखेगी. Sorry, 9. That means 8.99. See, we get the different kinds of values. That means what? We can use a not also. Okay, यहाँ से not भी use कर सकते हैं. So let's do another example. So आपको वहाँ से भी समझ में आएगा. So here I did all the practical. See, we get the output, the value from payment where the amount between 7 to 9. So again, I have another question. Suppose the user wants to count the payment transaction between 7 to 9. How will count? Okay, so make a note of that. When we get the word called as a count, when we get the word as a how many, then we need to use the count operator. Okay. If you check for the word called as a find, then we need to retrieve the data. We don't want a count. फाइंड वर्ड आया तो हम डेटा रिट्रीव करेंगे एंड हाउ मेनी हाउ मच ऐसा वर्ड्स आया तो we will use what count word we'll use what count word. So here we have command select count asterisk symbol, so make a note of that. Here we'll need to specify the asterisk symbol. Also we can specify the attribute also. Okay, so just do so. Here I want to count how many transactions are not between 7 to 9. So what should I do here? I will use count round bucket, round bucket close. Just execute that query. We get the records as 13,000, 1550, sorry, 13,431. Okay, so if you, yeah, if you want to use, if you don't want to use the count, so we can use another column attribute. Okay, we already discussed about that. This attribute we can use any attribute, but uh, proper answer will be given. Okay, in that section we get all proper answers. That means if you're trying to use the attribute, if you're trying to use the asterisk symbol, if you're trying to use another attribute, we get the same output. We didn't get another output. So for that reason, here just use asterisk symbol. Okay, कौन सा भी यूज करो आपको वही आउटपुट आने वाला है. Either we can use another attribute, amount attribute, or asterisk symbol. We get the same attributes. Let's check out. When I try to execute, we get the same output. I don't worry about that. Now another question. Suppose why we give these questions? So just we need to analyze the different things. These are the business situations, and we need to find out the solutions like that. Suppose user wants to count a payment transaction not between 7 to 9, not between 7. We already did that practical, so don't worry about that. We already did that practical. 7 to 9 may nahi chahiye. So just what should I do? I will use not in front of that. I will use not in front of between. Okay. So we already did that. So now for the date function. So before doing the date, I want to give another example for see. Select for film table. We'll get the information for film table and we'll do different kinds of operation on film table and afterwards we'll use a date function. Here I will use select all from. Just first of all I will analyze the table and afterwards use one record. I don't want to use a lots of record for the films. See, these are the records. So first attribute will be the film ID. After that, the title is there, description is there, release year is there, language, rental duration, rent rate, length, replacement cost, ratings. So where we can use the between operator, where we can use the between operator. So we can use on the numeric numbers, fractional numbers. Okay. So just you need to find out what the rental rate. Okay. So just we'll find out the distinct rental rate and after that we can apply our business logic. So I will remove this. I will find out, select what attribute we required. We required a rental rate attribute. So only we require a rental from a film. Okay. So we required a distinct because we don't want to use duplicate values. Okay, so we have bunch of values, bunch of movies are there. So we require a distinct and just hit it. We get the distinct values as a rent rate 2.99, 4.99, and 0.99. Okay, so that means if we're trying to use the value low as a 4 and the value maximum as a 5, then we get only 4.99. Okay, then we get only 4.99. Okay, so select distinct rental rate from the film. Okay, so let's do one that practical. Select all from what is my query? I want to find out the rental rate from 4 to 5. Okay, so value between 4 to 5. So इसके अंदर से मुझे डेट्स ये फाइंड आउट करने हैं, rental rates find out करने हैं. So from what will be the name of table? Select all from. The name of table will be a film file. So name of table is a film. So here I will use a where class. So we'll apply the where clause for the rental rate. So rate. Okay. So here I will use between. Okay. So here I will use between. We specify the low value as a 4 and the max value as a 5. That means we get all record the value in between 4 to 5. That means we get only 4.99. Okay, so we get just check here instead of that all. Just I want to remove and here I will specify the rental rate. Only rental rate. Don't go to retrieve all data. See, we get all records of 4.99. So it's very good operator and we are using a lots of time while developing the application. Uh, so it's very useful. Okay. So for example, if manager asks regarding the date related issue, manager asks regarding the range related issue, and definitely we're using this operator. Okay. See, we get how many records? We get 336 records whose value is 425. So when we specify date in between 0 to 1, see, we get the values 0.99999. Only we get the 0.99. We get the 0.99. And if you want to count these, then we all know that. Okay. So just we need to use OER count. And after that, we need to specify the function because we all know that distinct will be work without a parenthesis, but count will not work with parenthesis. Okay. So it is mandatory to use around bracket open and open close. So when I trying to use, we get the 351 entries. So just I give the example. So just you need to find out the different tables, actor table, address table. So when we click on the address table, just click it and check it the columns. So where address, district, city, postal ID, so postal code, phone number, last day. So just you need to analyze it and you need to use the count. Sorry, you need to use the between function. Okay. So if you don't want to require, see here I will use a not. Don't want to require the values inside the 0 and 1, then we will use a not. Then we will use a not. That means इसके अंदर 0.99 values नहीं रहेंगे, rest of all values display हो जाएंगे. So just remove the count, so you will get the actual value. यहाँ तो actual count दिखाई दे रहा है. Click on that, so we get the value 4.99, 2.99, 4.99. But 0.99 दिखेगा क्या? नहीं. 1.99 दिखेगा क्या? होगा तो दिखेगा. I don't know about that. Distinct पहले में नहीं दिखा था. That means नहीं है. Okay, so we get all the values. Okay, we get the all the values. When we're trying to change the value, see a value between 2 and 3. Okay, so इसके अंदर 2.99 नहीं दिखेगा, बाकी rest of all things दिखेगा. 0.99 भी है और 4.99 भी है. So according to that, you need to work for that. Okay. So now another thing. Suppose if user wants to find the date of payment transaction between some date. Okay. So user wants to find out the transaction date or user wants to find out the values inside the starting date and ending date. Okay. So first of all, again we need to retrieve the table, select all records from table name called as a payment. Called as a payment limit record for two. So limit record for two. Spell mistake. Limit record for execute it. And now see, make a note of that this date will work on with timestamp. Okay, timestamp भी होता है इसके. Don't worry about the timestamp. According to the industry standard, we will focus on the only date function. Okay, so here first of all the date format will be first. Year is there, after that month is there, and after that date is there. Okay. Now you need to find out some transaction. User wants to find out some transaction in between starting date and in between ending date. Okay, so what should I do? So here I will retrieve all the data from the payment and I will remove the limit. Okay, and I will differentiate the commands also. Okay, separate, I will segregate the commands also. Select all from the payment. Here use where what will be the name of attribute payment date. Earlier we are using the amount, now I will use the payment date. Use aware a payment date between what will be the low value we need to specify by using the 2007. Okay, dashboard will be the month will be assume that 5 and date assume that 1. So the format we need to specify with date. If the month is a single, then we need to specify 0. Then we need to specify and the value must be included in single quote. Okay, because it is a string. If it is a number, then we did not need to specify. Okay, make a note of that. We need to specify the value inside the string single quote. We cannot able to use a double quote over here. Python we can use single quote, double quote, triple quote. Make a note of that. In Dbms we need to use a single quote. And when I trying to use a double quote, we get the error. So here I will use a specify, and this one is a lower date. Okay, and now specify the upper date. In that here I will use 2007. Trying to use 06. That okay, I want to find a transaction in between fifth month and sixth month. Okay, इसके बीच में मुझे transaction मुझे find out करना है. If we have transaction, then we will get. make a note of that. If we have transaction, then we will get. If we don't have transaction, then we get the zero output. So Let's check out. We have a bunch of outputs are available in between the transaction. We retrieve the data, and if you want to write in single line, you can write. Okay, don't worry about that. But ऐसा नहीं होता है. Right now, queries are very small, so that's why we are writing in a single statement. But afterwards, being while doing a job, we need to write a 10, 4, 15 lines of code. Okay, so ये commands हमें वहाँ तक लेके जाने पड़ते हैं. Comments. Okay. So if you want to limit the transaction, we can also use it. Okay. So हमने पढ़ा है limit. So it will retrieve the only two records, and it will be the last function. If you want to use the order by, yeah, we can use. Have you heard about the order by? Yeah. Order by attribute name is what we say. We can say that payment ID. Payment ID. Here we provide the ascending order. Already it is the ascending order. We'll provide descending order. So hit it. We get the all records in descending order. And if you want to limit for that, limit. Check out, we get the two records in descending order. Okay. So हम जितना भी पढ़ रहे हैं हमने ऑलरेडी पढ़ा है where के बारे में, between के बारे में, and के बारे में, from के बारे में, distinct के बारे में, after that order by, limit, जो भी हमने पढ़ा है ना, we need to apply the logic. पूरा लॉजिक अप्लाई करना पड़ता है. लाइक दैट वी कैन राइट ए क्यूरी. सी इसका भी आउटपुट सेम ही आने वाला है. दैट डजंट मीन कि डिफरेंट आउटपुट आने वाला है. इफ यू वांट टू retrieve your 5 records, you get the 5 records. See, in the descending order. If you want to use the ascending order, so use ASC or don't use anything. Automatically by default it will be selected as a ascending. सो ये इम्पोर्टेंट क्या है कि हम पेमेंट डेट यूज कर सकते हैं बिटवीन के अंदर. सो दैट वन इज अ बेसिक. दिस इज अबाउट what between operator. If you have any query, let me know. We'll discuss about that, and at the end of that session I will provide the what task for you. Okay. Does anyone have a query regarding the between operator, or just we need to do another program? Just make a note of that here. While using the date, use a single quote. Okay, use single quote. Here we need to use single quote. So while using that date function, see, we didn't discuss about the date. See the date in between 2007 5th, that means May, and this one is a June. So that means 1st May to 1st June. So see, we get the all values of May's. Okay. So we also get the values of June's. Just we need to remove this limit and we need to unrestrict the values. If we have June values, then we can able to find out. If we don't able to have, if we don't have, then we cannot able to find. See, all the transaction will be done on the 14, 14, 14. That means what, we don't have any values. So all transaction will be performed on the 14th, 14 date. So make a note of that. So हम जब से भी learn करके हम खुद का database बनाएंगे ना, तो हम different kinds of values insert कर सकते हैं. But right now, for that database only all transaction will be done on 14th May. So we get only that values. Okay. Don't worry about क्यों नहीं मिल रहा है, कैसे नहीं मिल रहा है. अगर data नहीं है तो कैसे मिलेगा? For that we require a data. So does anyone have query regarding that, or shall I move for the next? We already covered this solution. Now the another thing. Before starting that, just I would. Does anyone have a query regarding the between? Specify your answer. Yes, no, don't know, didn't get. Yeah, fix that clear. Okay, no issue. We'll discuss about the another in operator. So see, make a note of that. Python के अंदर भी in operator होता है. Similarly, it will be work for the database also. Just while using the in operator, we need to specify some certain answers. we need to specify some multiple possible values, and among that values it will retrieve the data. So, for example, in certain cases, if you want to check for multiple possible values, certain cases if you want to check for the multiple possible options, for example, if username shown up in a list of known names, okay. For example, I want to retrieve the name of user, and suppose I want to retrieve the colors having red, black, blue, then we will specify that we'll retrieve all the records of that colors, okay. So for example, if you can use the in operator to create the condition, that means when you use in operator to create the condition that checks to see if a value included in the list of multiple option, if yes, then that data will be recorded, or that data will be retrieved, okay. So this is our theory. So how will check? So we'll check the with where condition. Here we check the values in option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4. In that it will create in will create the condition, and it will check for the condition. So for example, select all from color table where color in red blue. So अगर color attribute के अंदर red और blue मिला तो it will it will retrieve the records, okay. So according to that it will be work. So for example, suppose user wants to find the payment record of 0.99 and 1.99 cents. That means, see, I mean, here we do not want to use what we say between operator. Okay, just we need to retrieve the records whose value is 0.99 and 1.99. Earlier, when we discuss about the operator, here we need to specify the low value and high value. We need to specify the low value and high value, but right now when we use here, we need to specify the record of 0.99 and 1.99. That means the unique record, okay. If we have a duplicate record, then we can also retrieve, but the starting value, that means that it will matching the pattern. Make a note of that, it will be matching the pattern. If we provide 0.99, so it will find all the values of 0.99. If we pass the 1.99, because here we need to provide a certain values, so we already specified we need to pass the multiple possible values. We need to pass the multiple, we need to check for the multiple possible values. So for that, here I will pass these things, okay. So just 1 minute. Here how will use that for the payment, we will use for the where clause, okay. So let's check out for the payment table, and let's try to execute this thing. First of all, I will select all from the payment. Okay. So here I will use a where clause where what required, where amount is required, where amount required, and make a note of that while using this function, while using this in, it is mandatory to use a round bracket open and round bracket close. Okay, if it is a string, then we will provide in single quote. If it is a not in string, if it is a fractional, then we will provide the value, okay. So make a note of that. So where amount, select all from payment, where amount in capital, and round bracket we need to specify certain values. So just I will specify 0.99. Just I will specify one value, one condition. Okay. Select all records from payment where amount in. Okay. So it will check whether that 0.99 is a member of that all values. If yes, then it will retrieve the 0.99 values. Okay. So let's check out. See, we get the 0.99 values. Only we get the 0.99 values. Okay. See. And if you want to check count how many values we have, then we have a function called as count, and it will retrieve how many values we have. So see, अब थोड़ा सा ना मैं speed बढ़ा हूँ. What is the reason? Because we need to cover all these things. Okay. So for that reason, अभी आप practice जैसे जैसे कर रहे हो तो automatically आपकी speed बढ़ रही है. So make a note of that while using same things on first day of phase 2, part 2. हम slowly select operator देखते हैं. Slowly हम distinct देखा, contact count देखा, from check किया, where check किया, order by देखा, limit देखा. So we need to increase our speed. Okay. How many entries we have of 0 to 7 uh, 2720 links are there, okay. So just if you want to pass another thing like 1.99, I want to pass, Because see here I'm not using a value in a single quote. Why? Because these are the fractional values. Okay, if it is a natural numbers, integer numbers, or fractional value, we did not able to pass the values. Okay, inside the single quote. So click on that, the value will be increased. Value will be increased. Okay, so like that, if you want to find, so we can able to find. So if you don't want to use this record, uh, with that record contains 0.99, just here we need to use a not in. Just we need to use not in. Okay, so we get all the rest of records 11,876. Just when we remove this, ये remove करता हूँ मैं, instead of that just I'm using the asterisk symbol, so we get the values, and inside that we did not get 0.99. Make a note of that, we did not get 0.99. Rest of all values will be visible. See, check out, did not get any 0.99. That means here when we use the pattern matching, sorry, where we use the in option, in that spatially it will say, or spatially it will specify the things only. Okay. So for example, suppose user wants to find record in 0.99 and 1 point. Make a note of that there is a difference between and in. While using the between will provide the low value and will provide the high value, and while using the in we need to specify the certain value. Okay, make a note of that, and here is a solution for that certain value. Select all record from the payment where amount in 0.99, 1.98, and 1. So now another question, suppose user want to count how many payments, we already did that operation while performing that, how many what occur hua. So we need to use the count, and just I saw, I provided the last challenge to all students, and among that only 3 to 4 students got the answers, and rest of student didn't got the answer. Even I thought they didn't try for that. Okay, so only 4 to 5 students, I have their names. So only 4 to 5 students are performing the practical well. See, these things are very important. मैंने पहले ही बताया था कि internship नाम के लिए मत करो and certificate के लिए मत करो. You need to get some knowledge. Okay, and that knowledge will be helpful in the DBMS theoretical lectures, and also while using in the company we can perform the operations. So ऐसे ही operation होते हैं. Okay, make a note of that. So you need to perform the task, and today I will provide the task, and each and every student must perform that task. Even you need to create the internship report on daily basis. Okay. So suppose if you want to user wants to find or count how many payment. Count means we need to use a count, a record of 0 to 99 and 1.99 cents. Okay. So just use what count function. So instead of that, here I will use what 0.99 comma 1.99. Okay. Here I will use count. Count bracket open plus, so we get the actual count. So we get the actual count with not. We didn't want to use a not. We required only in. Okay. So here is we get the output as a 3300. Okay. Now another solution. Suppose user wants to find a customer whose first name is first name कैसे आ गया directly. Okay, okay, okay. So just I have a question. Suppose user wants to find a customer whose first name is Linda and Lisa. Okay, so we have a texture values. We have a texture values, so we can use the specific names of that user. So suppose user wants to find the customer whose first name is Linda and Lisa, and we need to provide a certain condition with these names. And if we find that name, we will get that record according to the value. Okay, so just here I will remove the count over here, and just I will use a asterisk symbol from payment where just here we do not want to use a payment. Here we'll use customer limit for the two. Just we get the customer attributes. So here customer ID, store ID, full name, last name. So we need to apply the condition on first name. Here we need to apply the condition on first name. Okay, so that's why here I get the limit function. So I will select what, select all from the customer. Here I will use where what is that first name underscore, I will use first name in round bracket. What we need to specify the names in single quote, Linda and Lisa. Just make a note of that. The first name in that attribute, first letter is a capital, and it will directly check. It is a case sensitive data. Make a note of that. If you're trying to space a smaller L, then we did not get the actual data. And Lisa. Okay, so here we specify both the names. We need to check the first name. So click on that. See, we get the Linda Williams and Lisa Anderson. Okay, so we get all the values. So we can apply the logic on what we see. We can apply the logic on extra value also. So like that, अगर आपको doubt है कि if you want to find the information, certain information by using name, or if you want to specify by using last name, we can able to. When I trying to use a smaller case, we did not get the actual value. We can get only Lisa. We did not get yes the Linda. Why we actually we have the Linda as a user, but it is a case sensitive. Here I'm trying to pass the smaller case value, so we did not get the any actual data. So this is about the in. Okay, so now the last bit of the this session, basic operators like and I like. Okay, and it's very useful operator we are using. Okay, so we already been able to perform a direct comparison against the string. हमने direct comparison already perform करके देखा है. जैसे वैसे for first name is equals to John, first name is equals to Linda, first name is equals to Lisa. Like that, we already did that operation. Okay, so for example, if you want to match, so make a note of that this thing like and I like will be performed on pattern matching. Okay, so आपने talk के बारे में पढ़ा होगा या talk subject आपको होगा. In that there will be a subject of pattern matching and regular expression. So majorly it is used for the pattern matching and regular expression. So अगर नहीं पढ़ा है तो आपको talk आएगा, उसके अंदर आप डिटेल में पढ़ोगे. But here I will taught you how to do pattern matching in DB. पैटर्न मैच कैसे करते हैं. जैसे लिनक्स के अंदर हमने आई थिंक ग्रेप कमांड पढ़ा था. इफ यू वांट टू फाइंड आउट द नेम्स, ओके, स्टार्टिंग नेम, एंडिंग नेम, लाइक दैट हमने पढ़ा था. इसमें लिनक्स के अंदर ग्रेप कमांड के अंदर. ओके, डॉलर इज यूज, डॉलर सिंबल इज यूज, कैप सिंबल इज यूज to perform the operation. Similarly, यहाँ भी ऐसे ही होता है like and I like में. The difference between like and I like is what? Like is a case sensitive and I like is a case insensitive. दैट मीन्स इसके अंदर कैपिटल एल और स्मॉल एल में डिफरेंस होता है. आई लाइक में कैपिटल एल और स्मॉल एल में डिफरेंस नहीं होता है. इतना ही डिफरेंस है. ओके, इसमें दो वाइल्ड कार्ड एंट्रीज होती है. सो एक परसेंटेज सिंबल होता है और एक अंडरस्कोर सिंबल होता है. जैसे लिनक्स के अंदर डॉलर एंड कैप सिंबल होता है. ओके, इफ यू वांट टू फाइंड अ वर्ड विद particular name, then we will use dollar, and if you want to find a word with ended, we can use cap or vice versa. Okay, वैसे यूज कर सकते हैं. So similarly, see, but if you want to match against general pattern as a string, for example, all emails ending with @gmail.com, हमें emails find out करने हैं जिसके भी जितने भी @gmails है. So just we will use here wildcard entry as a percentage symbol, or all names begin with alphabet A. So in that we will use another wildcard as a underscore, or we can use as a percentage symbol. Okay. So majority used for the pattern matching. Make a note of that. Majority it will be used for the pattern matching. So let's do that. The like operator allows you to perform pattern matching against a string that used for the wildcard character. Okay. So these wildcard characters are used. Here we use the two wildcard characters. Percentage there and underscore is there. Percentage is there and underscore is there. So how will you percentage? So match any sequence character. Make a note of that. Percentage is used for the sequence of character. Okay. Percentage is used for the sequence of character, where underscore is used for a single character. Sequence means a group of character. परसेंटेज हम ग्रुप ऑफ कैरेक्टर के लिए यूज होते हैं. अंडरस्कोर सिंगल कैरेक्टर के लिए यूज होता है. while doing the practical you will get the basic idea. Okay, but just make a note of that. These wildcard characters are used for the like and I like. Like and I like में कोई डिफरेंस नहीं, बेसिक एक ही डिफरेंस है.
Just I like is used for the case sensitive and I like is used for the case insensitive. That means we can use these wildcard characters inside like also and inside I like also. Okay. So let's do one example. Here I have one example. All names starts with capital A. I want to find out a sequence with starting number as capital A. So what should I do? I will use where names like a percentage. That percentage is the empty string. So it will find out all the data, all the first name or last name, whatever it may be, all the first name and last name starting with capital A, starting with capital A. So here all names that ends with A. Ends मतलब क्यों? Because percentage लिखा है उसके आगे कुछ भी रहने दो. End में मुझे A चाहिए. Starting में A चाहिए. End के बाद में कुछ भी रहने दो. Okay, so like that we can find. Note like is a case sensitive and we use the I like for which is for case insensitive. ये difference याद रखो. Sensitive और insensitive में difference क्या होता है? Smaller alphabet and capital alphabet में differentiate नहीं होता है I like में and smaller alphabets and capital alphabet में differentiate होता है like में इतना difference. So example of underscore. So we can use under multiple underscores. Imagine we had a version string code in format version hash A4, version hash B7 like that. So here we use just version hash and underscore. In that just two characters are replaced and we get all the data. Suppose we need to find where values like version hash underscore underscore. We need to replace this single character. Okay, make a note of that. Percentage is used for sequence of string and underscore is used for underscore. Okay, a single character. अब थोड़ा सा कंफ्यूजिंग हो रहा होगा कि how we will use that, but while doing the practical you will get the whole idea how we will use that. Don't worry about that. So let's do the practical for that. So we can also combine a pattern matching operator to create more than one complex pattern like where name, I want to retrieve the name and here like underscore her percentage. इसका meaning क्या है? For example, first alphabet, whatever it may be, only first alphabet. Because here I am using a wildcard character. Underscore कुछ भी रहने दो first alphabet, whether it is A, whether it is B, whether it is a C. Afterward, it's mandatory HER. After that, percentage. That means last sequence of number कुछ भी रहने दो. Okay. So the values are the first will be underscore, second, third will be same, and last will be the NF. When I trying to retrieve the data, we get the such a type of pattern where name like underscore her percentage. See the first letter. First letter underscore use किया है तो कुछ भी रहा तो भी चलेगा whether it is C, whether it is T, whether it is S. बाकी एच ई आर कॉमन चाहिए एच ई आर कॉमन चाहिए एच आई आर कॉमन चाहिए बाद में मैंने परसेंटेज यूज किया है तो वाइल इज अनदर स्ट्रिंग ई एस ए इज अनदर स्ट्रिंग आर आई इज अनदर स्ट्रिंग ओके दैट मीन्स एच ई आर इज मैंडेटरी परसेंटेज के बाद में कुछ भी चलेगा like that it will retrieve the data likewise it will retrieve the data okay so while doing the practical you can get the idea suppose user wants to find a customer name start with J मुझे जे के साथ में कस्टमर नेम का फाइंड करना है so for that we require a customer table here we limit the customer table check out the attributes if first name is there and what is the query support user wants to find the customer first name start with J कस्टमर का नाम चाहिए उसका स्टार्ट क्या चाहिए जे चाहिए so select all from the customer where first name फर्स्ट नेम क्या चाहिए मुझे स्टार्टिंग का फर्स्ट नेम क्या चाहिए फर्स्ट नेम विल बी स्टार्ट विद जी सो फॉर दैट रीजन वी रिक्वायर्ड दिस स्ट्रिंग फर्स्ट नेम हमें क्या चाहिए जी चाहिए सो हियर आई विल यूज अ लाइक एंड इन सिंगल कोट what G. After that, I will use pattern matching as a percentage. Starting J चाहिए, last में कुछ भी sequence रहा तो भी मुझे चलेगा. Okay, so just hit it. So we get the output. See, a person having the name start with Jared, Jennifer, Jessica, Janet, Joya, Julie, Jane. So the first name we will be starting by using J. If you want to count how many words are, how many first names are there, which will starting from the J, just click on that. See, make a note of that. This like is a case sensitive. Okay, so just I will show you the example. Show you the example. Click on that. So we get the capital J. When I trying to use a small j, we did not get any entry because in database all the letter will be stored in the form of first camel case. First letter will be a capital. When I trying to this, so we get zero records. Why we record give? Because like is a case sensitive. When I trying to use I like, then we get the capital and small letters. See, ये आई लाइक मतलब केस सेंसिटिव हुआ क्या नहीं हुआ सो वी गेट द ऑल रिकॉर्ड्स विच स्टार्टिंग विद स्मॉल में तो नहीं है मेरे पास स्मॉल में अवेलेबल नहीं है सो दैट्स व्हाई वी गेट द कैपिटल लेटर्स ओके आई लाइक मतलब केस सेंसिटिव सेंसिटिव just it and just hit it we get the same record. This is about what assets and symbol we'll do more practical so you will get the more idea regarding that don't worry about that. So just another solution. Suppose user wants to find out the customer first name starting with J and last name with yes. अब मुझे कस्टमर का स्टार्टिंग लेटर जे चाहिए और लास्ट नेम क्या चाहिए yes चाहिए. Just what should I do here? I will use a not, sorry, and here I will use a percentage and just I will pass capital S and percentage. Okay, so hit it. So we get the is oh, we did not specify the last name attributes. So here we need to specify percentage and capitals. Now we get the result. Yes. What is that? Customer first name like version and Ike. Back here and in the last name. Oh, here we need to specify percentage. We need to remove the Ike because and operator is used. Just 1 minute, give me 1 minute. Here we get the number starting with first name. After that, we need to specify that and that we need to specify the last name. It's a J, last name in single quote. Specify capital yes percentage. See, we get the output. Okay, make a note of that. First name like J and operator. We all know that this one is a first string and this one is a sorry. This one is a first string and this one is another. So if both string are true, then we get the retrieval. Okay. So Julie, say Julie is there, Jennifer, Spear is there, Jonathan is there, Jesse is getting there, Jimmy. So like that, first letter is a J, last is a yes. First letter is J, last is the yes. Okay, if you're trying to check S and J like that, we can also get the data. We don't have any values like starting with yes and ending with J. So A and J, just check out. So according to that आपके पास डेटा होना चाहिए तो ही मिलेगा otherwise नहीं मिलेगा. See A and yes, Alice is there, Elson is there, Arthur is there. So like that we have a bunch amount of data. So like और unlike का आपका difference समझ में आया है. So in that we can use. So like अभी different things हमें change करने for example just अभी जो underscore use किया था here I am using a underscore and I think the command was we did the practical like HER R and percentage अंडरस्कोर सो अंडरस्कोर की जगह फर्स्ट कौन सा भी लेटर होगा बाद में HER कंपलसरी होगा और सीक्वेंस. So click on that. See चेरिल तीसरा जो हमने आउटपुट में लिखा है वही है, चेरिल तीसरा जो भी आउटपुट है. So we get that output. So make a note of that percentage is a sequence and this wildcard underscore will be treated as single. Okay, so like that we can perform the operations. I like हमने already perform किया है. I like means what? Case sensitive, insensitive होता है. So this is about like and I like. So just carefully read it about between and I like. Like so perform the operation. So wildcard characters are two. So first one is a percentage. It is a group of sequence. Okay, and second one is a single character underscore. Now you need to perform this challenge. How many payment transaction we have greater than $5? Okay, you need to apply the logic on previous things also. हमने ये लाइक और अनलाइक बिटवीन का ही चैलेंज ऐसा नहीं है. सो यू नीड टू फाइंड आउट दिस चैलेंज. ओके, सो हाउ मेनी पेमेंट ट्रांजेक्शन वेर ग्रेटर देन $5. सेकंड, हाउ मेनी एक्टर्स हैव फर्स्ट नेम स्टार्ट विथ P. How many films have a rating of R and replacement cost between $5 and $15? Okay, so ये logics आपको सभी use करने हैं and you need to find out these four tasks. How many films have the word true man somewhere in the title? Okay, true man somewhere. So you need to perform these four tasks today itself and just apply the logic and just revise all the things what I taught for count, for order by, for where clause, for limit, between, for like, I like, okay, for in. Just remember that and from tomorrow we'll start for the group by. And group by is also perform. Aggregation के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा तरफ use किया जाता है. So we'll perform tomorrow. Okay. So ये task मैं आपको share करता हूँ और just perform that task. Okay, just give me 1 second. I will take the attendance. I will close the session. Okay, done. So just I will share the task with you after few minutes. Okay, after 10:45 up to I will send the task. You need to perform the task and just I will upload it the lecture up to 11 o'clock. Okay, so hope so you will get the idea regarding the between in and like and dislike. Just perform the task. Just if you want to search on the internet how it will work, yes, you can do that. Okay, so I will provide the basic guide and I will provide the information regarding it. Okay, so